What's good, everyone? I hope you're doing well. Today, I want to talk about something that I struggled with for a really long time. And if you've read the title, you know what the fuck I'm talking about: laziness. But I'm here to say that it's not that you're lazy, it's the fact that you lack purpose and you lack planning behind that purpose, right? So, for the longest fucking time, I was really lazy. Coming out of school, getting into my apprenticeship, I was super fucking lazy. Never did things on time, always did things last minute, never did things to the best of my ability. And I was just a fucking loser. To be honest, I just never did things on time and I'd always blame other people. I'd always come up with some bullshit as to why I couldn't do things. And it was just a fucking lie. Okay. Now, the one of the biggest things I learned is it's because you really don't understand why you're doing a lot of the things that you're doing, right? Or you're not really ever thinking about it. So for me, I only got into my trade because I knew I didn't want to go to uni. And typically in Australia, if you don't want to go to uni, you go do a trade. So I was only in my trade, and I was in it for about 3, 4 years, but I was only in it because I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. And that made me kind of depressed in my job. And it wasn't the fact that I hated the work and, there was actually quite a few aspects I enjoyed about working as a tradie. Sorry. Um, I liked a lot of the aspects, but because I knew I was meant for so much more than that, it made me depressed and it made me this lazy version of myself because I didn't know what I was doing it for. It wasn't going to get me to my goals. But the another thing is, I never clearly defined what my goals were. And I think a lot of people my age, I'm about 20 years old, turning 21 in 2 months, right? And I think a massive thing that a lot of us just really do lack is understanding clearly what our goals are. What do we actually want from ourselves? And I know it sounds corny, right? But you can literally build the life that you want for yourself. You just need to understand what it is first. You literally have full control over what you want in this life. But again, if you don't clearly define what those goals are and what that life is, you'll never get there. So many people are scared to do that. And I was that person as well. I was scared to do it because I was scared of failing, or I thought I was thinking too big or dreaming too big. But that is the first step. And because I didn't do that, it made work so miserable. Because again, I was in a situation I didn't want to be in. I knew I didn't want to be in long term. I knew it wasn't fulfilling who I could become. But once I sat down and actually thought about, okay, this is the person that I want to become. All right. I want to become, just to give you a glimpse, I wanted to break the curse on my family. I know it sounds gay as fuck, but I come from a baroque family, right? Never came from wealth, never came from fucking any of that. When I was growing up, right, it was literally just me and mum in a fucking unit, always needing to look at the price of food and assess, can we afford this? Can we afford that? I fucking never wanted to do that. And I always wanted to live a life where I could provide for my kids and my wife and, my family in the future to the best of my abilities, never have to worry about financials ever. Because I feel like that breaks a lot of relationships these days. I didn't want that. I also wanted to live on my own terms. Never wanted to, have to break my back for money for the rest of my life. Like, I didn't want these things. I wanted to just be a frugal person that could do whatever the fuck he wanted. And once I understood that clearer, I was like, okay, this is who I want to be. That is the purpose. This is the goal. This is the vision I want for myself. How do I get there? That's the next plan. Because without purpose, right, it is really just a fucking dream. You're just like, oh, I wish I could have this. I wish I could be this person. But it only stays that way if you never come up with a plan to get there. A lot of people fucking say that I wish this and I wish that all day long. But you could get to that life if you really wanted. And if you had the balls to take it. But once you got there, right, this is who I want to be. How do I get there? This is where you need to play the game of elimination. Okay? For me, could I keep working my trade to get to this point? No, I couldn't. Right? Like, if I wanted to make millions of dollars, I could not do that working a trade. Not until I'm at least 50 years old and invest a bunch of money in real estate. Right? But is that money from the trade? No, it's from investments. So I realized, okay, I can't do that working a trade. What the fuck's the point? So I was like, this is where I want to be. This is where I'm currently at. This is where I'm currently at. I'm currently working a trade. I'm currently fucking doing all this. I'm nowhere near, or I'm not even on track, or not even in the fucking right place to get to this point. And I played a game of elimination. Okay, could I do my trade? Could I go to uni? Could I go to the army? Could I go down any of these traditional paths to eventually get to this point? And the answer was no, right? I realized if I want to get to this point, I need to look elsewhere. And making money online was the thing for me. I'm not saying it's the thing for everyone, but if you're saying this is my goal and you know you can't get there working a trade or going to fucking uni or doing any of these things, then what the fuck's the point? Why are you there? It's not going to get you the life that you want to. You're literally building a life you don't want to live. This is why you're lazy. Okay? So, okay, I realize I can't do any of that to get to here. So I need to make money online. And then I just spent a bunch of time learning a bunch of things and, just trialing different stuff, trying a bunch of different businesses. Yes, I spent a lot of money, but it gave me purpose at work. See, I was in my trade, and like I was saying before, I was lazy. So I was lazy to the point where I wasn't showing up to work on time, and I was always doing everything last fucking minute. I was just a lazy cunt on site. But because I had purpose, because I knew I wanted to be here eventually, and I needed to make money to fund online business to get to this point, I now had purpose in my work every day. All right, I now fucking took pride in my work because I was like, I know what I'm working towards. Whereas like before, I was like, I don't even know who the fuck I want to become. That's why I was so lost. That's why I was so lazy. I had lack of direction. And with lack of direction, where are you trying to go? Why even work your ass off? It's the best way of explaining it is this really easy analogy, right? So imagine yourself in a boat in the middle of the fucking ocean, right? Nothing around you. You can't see anything. You're literally just in this dark blue sea, and you're literally in a fucking boat, right? This was me in my job, not knowing what I wanted to do with myself, not knowing what I was working towards in the future. But once I had clearly defined this, which let's just say is the island, right? I needed to understand what I was working towards. So now I'm here, but I now have an idea of where I'm trying to go. So this is helping me now. But without the plan here, right, I'm going to stay at sea because I don't know where the fuck I'm going, or I don't know how I'm going to get there. So this is my fucking map. This is the way to get there. So I need both this and this to eventually get to that point. It's the easiest way possible. Without this and this, you're going to stay at sea with fucking no clue what the fuck you're doing, and you're never going to try. What's the point of being at sea with no fucking destination and no way to get there? Why would you even row in the first place? What's the point of rowing? You might as well just sit in the fucking boat till you fucking die and die of starvation, whatever it is. Because what's the point? You need to understand, what are your intentions? Why row in the fucking first place? Why work in the first place? It seems so simple, but so many people our age lack the foresight to think about what they actually want to do for the future. Because we're so distracted by the fucking iPhones, the fucking Netflix, the fucking watching porn, or whatever the fuck you do in your spare time, talking to girls on Snapchat, smoking weed, going out on the weekends. I was that person. And that's not to say I'm perfect, because I'm definitely not. But that was what occupied most of my spare time, and that's why I never could get anywhere. But once I understood my goals as well, I was no longer distracted. I knew what I was working towards. It became so much clearer to me. It was like, I'm not fucking going to go watch Netflix, even though I've got this show that I really want to watch. In my mind, I want to be fucking here. How the fuck is Netflix going to get me anywhere near there? How is doom scrolling on my phone going to get me anywhere closer to this goal? I'm telling you, once you understand your intentions, everything becomes easier. Being able to focus becomes so much fucking easier. Understanding your why as well. Understanding your why is so much deeper, right? Because it's all good and well to know this and have your plan, but without understanding a true why, where's the motivation, right? You're still going to be lazy. So let me briefly talk about this as well, right? I don't want to make this video too long, but you need to understand why you're even doing things in the first place. And I'll give you a good example, right? If you said, okay, I want to make $1 million in 1 year because, you know, I want to travel and I want to be able to buy a nice car and live life pretty luxurious, right? Everyone wants that. Everyone would love to have $1 million in a year. The motivation, the discipline to get to that goal is not going to be crazy, right? Because it's safe to say, everyone, if you could push a fucking button and make $1 million in a year, you fucking would, right? You 100% would. But the motivation to go chase that is pretty low because your why is just because you want to go travel and have a nice car. And I mean, fuck, who doesn't want that? But if you said, I have to make $1 million because my mum will fucking die, someone's got a bullet to my mum, right? And I know this sounds pretty brutal, but to help her, I need to make $1 million in 1 year. The motivation and the discipline to work towards that goal is going to be so much higher, right? The chances of you hitting that is going to go from, 0% because I want to make $1 million in a year, right? Most people would fucking think that's completely unbelievable, to 100%, I need to hit this goal, otherwise my mum will fucking die, right? What has changed though? Because the goal's the same, the time frame's the same on both sides. It's the why. You have to understand why you're doing this shit in the fucking first place. It is so fucking important, but most people just neglect it entirely. But I promise you, when you're trying to make more money online or you're trying to put yourself in a better situation, it all starts here. It doesn't start on your phone, doesn't start on your fucking laptop looking up YouTube videos. You have to understand why you're doing this in the first place and give it 100%. Understand everything to do with your mental and to do with why you're doing this. I promise you won't be fucking lazy again. Yes, I am lazy here and there, but I can sit here and say the only reason I'm ever lazy is because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have clarity. With clarity, everything is so much easier. But I appreciate you guys for watching, and till next time.